Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering writing a book isn't worth it anymore. I happen to disagree. I actually think it couldn't be further from the truth. I think writing a book is so worth it, both on an emotional growth journey and on a revenue generation side. I've worked on multiple books that have generated six-figure revenue, so I know it's possible. Some of the elements of book writing, they're so much more valuable than money itself. It's something that you can unlock inside of yourself, the greatness within. And that can come through in the writing process. Think about the books that have motivated and inspired you, and think about how your story can change somebody else's life just the same. By the end of this video, you will learn the doors that can open from book writing, the importance of a sales funnel, and why your book is only the beginning. And stay tuned until the end of the video for a free opportunity. Let's dive in. Writing a book is only the beginning. I know it feels like it's the end of this big journey and that's the culmination of it, and then so be it. But I really do think that writing the book is just the beginning. Think about the doors that can open because you're an expert on a certain topic. Think about the closure that can come from finally reflecting on your story. Think about the ability to be empowered by your story instead of a victim of it. You're really taking control of your narrative and your story, and you're owning it. You're stepping into your power as a storyteller. It's such an awesome thing. Whether it's a story about your life, whether it's a story about expertise, whether it's some other lesson, there's so much that people can learn from books, but there's so much that we can learn ourselves from writing a book. So many things that we can feel like become possible when we write a book. I compare it in a way to marathon running. It's the same thing. It's looking at this bigger goal, saying, I can do it. And focusing on little incremental gains and training yourself and challenging yourself and digging deeper than you ever thought you could. On the opposite side of that is so much opportunity. With a marathon, it's the ability to say you finished. With a book, it can open so many doors. It can allow you to get better speaking engagements. It can help you to become a standout CEO or a thought leader. There's so many things that can unlock for you that weren't visible before, that weren't clear before. When you think about becoming an author and being found online, somebody searching out an expert on a topic, and there you are. How awesome is that? You're the expert. You're a storyteller. You put these words down. You're the go-to person on this topic. That's a special thing, and it means that there's a commitment to deeper. There's a commitment to more, that you thought this is a worthwhile thing, and you kept going with it. When I think about whether a book is worth it, I think about my friend Jonathan Stanley. I met Jonathan in 2023. He had just finished a draft of a book that is now called Purposeful Performance, and it was born out of frustration. Jonathan had been laid off from a company that he helped develop amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Things just fell apart, and he lost his job, and he was desolate, and he was struggling to find purpose within himself. What is my point? What is my purpose for being here? And he could have just wallowed in it, and that would have been it. And instead, he poured his energy and his frustrations into this book about workplaces and about being more focused on opportunities and on inclusion and on really just bringing purpose back into the workplace and making people feel empowered to do their best work and contribute to something special. So Jonathan poured his energy from this frustrating personal journey into this book. He published it, and he didn't just stop there. He kept going. He promoted it again and again and again. He posted on LinkedIn all the time. He got a bunch of endorsements, dozens of endorsements. The book sold okay for a couple months. It wasn't anything like standout, but it was selling consistently for a while. And in early 2025, about 6 months, 8 months after his book came out, Jonathan got invited to a book signing at a Barnes & Noble in Pennsylvania where he lived. Jonathan could have skipped it. He could have said, I'm not wasting my time. It's a Saturday, why bother? But he went. He brought 10 books along. He sold a couple of them. When he was there, he met a 4-year-old girl who came up to the table, and Jonathan talked to her, and she talked about wanting to be an author, and he signed the book for her, and they had this, genuine, authentic experience. And the girl's mom posted a video on TikTok of Jonathan selling his book at this book signing, and things blew up. Things blew up over the course of a day. He went from one TikTok follower to 750,000 in a matter of 24 hours. His book was in the top 100 books on Amazon for the course of most of that week. National bestseller. And I think about the impact that Jonathan's book has had. People were motivated by this book. Jonathan could have just gotten stuck in his place. He could have taken his stories and just kept them to himself and not explored his vulnerability and not explored the frustrations that he faced, because he knows that other people are feeling those frustrations too. And no one would have been better off. He turned this frustrating opportunity into a national bestseller and a platform for more, a platform for other opportunities to emerge. And it's because he went for it, because he believed in his message, and because he tapped into this very real thing. It's so interesting for me to see him living his authenticity, to be leading with it. And it's funny for me to see him being interviewed on NBC News or the Washington Post, and I'm like, that's Jonathan. That's a Jonathan I know. That's my friend. That he was ready for this moment. When I think about how his life has changed and how he's changed the life of other people because of his book, it flies in the face of the idea that book writing isn't worth it. I think in cases like his, it's so worth it. And it's not always about, tons of book sales, and it's not about, national bestseller. It's about tapping into the story inside of all of us. We have struggles and difficulties that we face, and a lot of times, our story is a weight. It's an ankle weight. It's weighing us down, and in tackling that story and subduing it and owning it and taking ownership and pride in it, of really, sorting it all out and making sense of it for other people to learn from, it can really turn these struggles into positives. I'm not saying it takes away from Jonathan's losing his job and this frustration, but he poured it into something positive. If there's challenges in your life and you can own your story and turn a negative into a positive, even a little silver lining, what a great thing. I think a lot of times we get locked up and stuck, but there's so much that other people can learn from our stories. It's a detriment if we hold back and if we lock up our story and we fail to take advantage of this. If we fail to unlock the power of our story, no one benefits. We don't benefit, and readers don't benefit either. When you think about revenue, and revenue is obviously a big driver for a lot of authors, it's a thing that motivates people. The idea that you can get rich from writing a book is possible, but you need to do some things in order to make it happen. You need to connect your book to your larger offerings, your sales funnel. You need to take a reader, give them an important call to action, and cause them to want to take the next step with you. Again, a book is just the beginning, and the book is the beginning of a journey together with you and this person. The reader is taking this journey with you together. So think about that in terms of a sales funnel. If you sell high-value support services or coaching or courses or something else, you want them to step into that next phase. You want them to take the leap. You need to give them a reason to do that. In order to take the next step, they need to do this, this, and this. There's your call to action. Go to the website, do this, sign up for my email. It could be a free offering. It could be something, but you want them to take the leap, and you need to give them a reason to do that your book and your story motivated and inspired them, and they wanted to keep going down this road together with you. If you can do that and you can connect your book with these valuable, higher priced items especially, you can have a lot of success. A lot of times people think about book revenue as books sold. It's a misguided focus. It's really disappointing when we think about money from book sales. Well-received books these days might only sell a couple thousand copies at most. Most books don't sell a lot of copies because there's so many books today. So it really forces us to really figure out who our audience is, what we want to say to them, speak to them directly, and give them a reason to want to take action. I think about some of my clients who have had six-figure revenue from their books, and it's because they have, this high-value support. So when they sell a couple hundred copies, then 3 or 4 of those people end up working with them. Now they're generating revenue. It wasn't from the book sales, it was from what the book sales meant. The book sale led to the coaching support, which led to this and that and this and that. In speaking engagements, it's so focused on the next step, the next phase, that the book is only the beginning of this process. A message I often share is that a good book can change your life. And I think it's true on both levels. I think it's true for the author, and I think it's true for the reader. For the reader, it's pretty easy to see, okay, they can learn from this, they can move forward with their life with this new clarity and understanding. For the book author, it's a sense of purpose, it's a sense of completion, but it's also ownership of your story. It's about not being afraid of the things holding us back. It's about being proud of who we are. It's about living your purpose. It's about helping people. You can do all of these things with a book, and you can share your message with the world, and you can reach people you never thought you'd reach before. And you can take all of these struggles that you faced and turn them into something meaningful and purposeful. Just think of Jonathan's story with the layoffs and then turning this into a book, and the way that he's helping people now. This is about stepping into your story, your purpose, and really connecting the dots in your life. And if you can do that, you can then take that next step for yourself. Maybe you become the go-to thought leader in this space. Maybe you're somebody that people reach out to for support. When I think about this topic, I think about Bonnie, my friend, who has had chronic pain and who's dealt with it for decades. And she's really struggled, and she found ways to move forward and live her best life, even amid chronic pain. And she wrote a book to help other people who are struggling too. And she launched a YouTube video series, which is really popular and really awesome to watch, Bonnie Lester. And it's just so awesome to see her. Her topic is unwinding pain. And I've talked to her about this a lot. If she wanted to, she could charge a lot of money for people, and they would work with her and they would pay her. Her whole thing isn't money. It's about having an impact and helping people. And I just think that's awesome. Like, she actually knows, I don't want to charge people for this. I want to have an impact, and I want to help people, and I want to share my messages. And she's having her biggest impact because of the book. The book opened these doors for her. Now it's opening so many different doors, and it's just so awesome to see that happening. If she hadn't written the book, it's a lot tougher to take that step. But she's written a great book, and she's the expert, and people are seeking her out because of the book and all these other things she's doing. And it's just so, I'm proud of her for being able to live her purpose and, step forward in this awesome way. And you could do that in your own way too. If you want to learn more about this topic, you'll definitely want to check out another video I recorded. I'll link to it on the screen. It's called How to Start Writing a Book About Your Life. In that video, I cover all the foundation elements of book writing, book foundation work, unlocking your purpose, steps to the writing journey. You're really wanting to empower you on this journey of book writing, and really brought all those elements together in just one easy video for you to watch. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.